Skylark and Barber.
He's alright. No, it makes me, well, how do I say it? My wife doesn't like me without curls, so he makes sure to keep the curls going, you know? If I shave it off, I'm done.
Full name, please, sir.
Full name, Benjamin Mario Faraon Jr.
That's quite a regal name you got there, Benjamin. All right. You mentioned earlier you're not from Hawaii, although we're sitting on the South Shore in Hawaii. Tell us where you're originally from.
I grew up in New York, Long Island, New York. Been here in Hawaii about 20 years now, but, New York is still home to me.
Long Island.
Long Island.
Did you surf there?
Surfed all the time.
Really? Is that where your love for surfing started?
It is where it started, or it's where I learned how to surf. But my genuine passion for surfing came from here in Hawaii.
The cliche is let's start with you as a young man. Let's start with you growing up in Long Island. What was it like?
It was cold, but it was. I lived in a really small neighborhood, on a bay. It was kind of right near the ocean, maybe 2 miles from the ocean. But yeah, lower middle class.
Okay.
We were rich in love, man. It was great.
That's cool. Any siblings?
I have one sister. Parents married, still married today. I think they just hit their 40 something years, 38 years, something like that.
That's
They've
cool.
been going for a long time. Yeah. Inspiring.
So you had a stable upbringing.
I did, my parents, my sister, very stable, very, very loving, very caring, very supportive.
And from a young age, were you given sort of a lot of freedom in terms of like wanting to choose the types of hobbies, the likes and the dislikes? I mean, were you given quite a bit of freedom in that regard?
A lot of freedom. My parents encouraged me to do anything and everything that I desired. Like I said, they were so supportive.
That's awesome.
Sports, hockey, baseball, surfing, skateboarding, whatever it was, they were behind me 100%.
So you started skating before surfing?
I don't really know, man. We live fairly close to the beach on Long Island, and my first memories are, first sport was boogie boarding. My dad is from here. He's a surfer, born and raised here in Hawaii, and we spent our summers just on the beach. And then that turned into daycare. Early teens, maybe 9, 10 years old, maybe a little bit older. My mom would drop me off and say, "Hey, your dad will be here by 5 o'clock. Be here."
So your mom was the rock, eh? She was.
No,
she ruled sort of made sure that you weren't stepping out of line.
She did it silently, where I knew, if I upset her, I was gonna have hell to pay. So I didn't want to piss her off.
Yeah.
And then I got away with things I had a big sister, so back to the sibling thing. I was fortunate to have a caring big sister who, I don't want to say she made mistakes, but I saw what not to do, or not, what not to do to get caught or get in trouble, stuff like that.
She gave you a nice blueprint.
She gave me a great blueprint. I might throw her under the bus here. I still remember when they found a 40 ounce bottle, empty one in a room. And I was like, why the fuck would you, or excuse my language, why would you keep the empty in here? What are you doing? So, it was just, but we stayed, we were great. The family life was amazing.
Where did you surf?
I surfed in Long Beach, Long Island. Lincoln Boulevard was the first, my first upbringing where I learned how to, not where I learned how to surf here. I was standing up on a boogie board when I was a tiny kid. And then we used to come, being that I said my dad was born and raised here, we used to come out here a lot. My mom worked for the airlines. We flew for free. We usually had a place to stay. So, most family vacations were here.
Okay.
And my first wave on a surfboard was in Kailua, Kalama Beach. I might have been like 9 years old.
Can remember it like
yesterday.
Clear as light of day.
Remember the board. I remember wearing my dad's webs.
Yeah.
I had the vest on, the wetsuit vest, neon shorts. It was great.
Those morays, those white and pink and orange with the lightning bolt through it or something. Remember those morays?
Yes.
And
a few of those. I was
Wave Warriors.
I was a BZ boogie board guy.
Okay.
BZ boogies. Yeah.
It's quite a thing here, hey? I saw it down on the beaches in Waikiki. All getting together on the weekend. The bodyboarders.
Yeah.
Loads of
everywhere. You've been to Sandy's yet?
No.
Oh, yeah. Probably cranking.
Actually,
right
I think I was there today.
Drove past it.
Yeah. No, I pulled in there.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
There were a lot of bodyboarders down there.
Yeah, Sandy's.
Sandy Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a gnarly little shore break.
Very gnarly, especially with waves like this, those guys are.
Did you ever think about getting into surfing? Did you ever want to make it like a full-time thing? Did it ever go through your mind?
I think or maybe not every, at least for me, as a Grom, like that was who wouldn't want to be a pro surfer, especially that time, all those guys that just get paid to surf and live that life. It was so appealing, like a lot of kids, for me, a lot of kids want to be, pro ball players, whatever it is. And I would have loved to have been a pro surfer,
So it did cross your mind a few times.
Oh, more than a few.
Coming out to Hawaii must have been quite a cool thing for a kid like in New York City. I'm assuming that your dad had a lot of extended family here, having come from here. So you got to spend time with them.
Yeah, we spent, he has a huge family, or a lot of siblings, half of which probably have left the islands already, or when we were traveling here. But, just my dad's family, and then a lot of friends of family. My mom lived here for quite some time as well, so she had a lot of friends and everything. So we were always around, friends and family like that.
Okay. You mentioned to me yesterday when we had a brief chat that you kind of got a little bit lost in terms of like your trajectory and your career choices throughout your life. Could we chat about that? Like once you'd sort of grown up, you decided, at what point did you decide you're going to leave New York, you're going to leave America and come to Hawaii? Is it
right after high school? I came out here for, vacation surf trip, and, maybe I was where I was like, man, and maybe I was kind of more so on my own than it's like a family trip, and I was like, oh man, I'm surfing all the time. The waves are great. Coming from New York, a small crappy day here is, kind of what I was surfing 20-degree weather for back in New York. So it was like amping all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was out here with a friend. While we were here, he started interviewing. He was a lifeguard at one of the state beaches back in New York. He started interviewing he was like, I think I want to stay. He was like, this is great. He was interviewing. He ended up getting a job as a lifeguard that summer when we were here visiting. And I was like, oh man, Dennis can do it. Like I should think about this, And then there was a couple guys back in New York who are actually from here who I was pretty close with. Even my dad too, he's like, bro, you can surf all the time.
All right, cool. And so now you're a young man, you are surfing. What were you doing for a job?
I worked when I first started, I worked for XL Wetsuits, was there for a little bit. And then for the majority of the time I was working at a surf shop at the mall. Did that for, pretty much through college and after. Left the surf shop for a little bit. I worked for the airlines. I worked in a restaurant, but my heart always brought me back to the surf industry. I always had that goal to, I didn't have don't think I necessarily had the skill at that, to be a pro surfer, but I love surfing. So, I was like, work in the surf industry, get a job in the surf industry, keep that going, try to live that dream a little bit and surf and get paid as much as I can.
So you thought that was the way.
I thought it was.
If you were going to be a pro surfer, you're going to entrench yourself in surf culture, get a job in the surf industry. How did that work out for you?
It was great. It's clear that
Was it?
I had a great time with it. Or for the future, for the longevity of it, it wasn't for me. But while I was there, while I did it, it was, maybe not working in a retail store, but it was, I had fun. Great people around me with the few brands that I worked with, and the company was the best, but the longevity of that career wasn't sustainable for me.
Yeah, I mean, you were there throughout the whole, like, the heyday of the surf industry and it becoming, like, extremely profitable.
Yep.
And then also the demise.
Saw it both, man.
You saw the good, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I did.
So some of the brands that you've worked for, Excel, you mentioned.
Excel, and then I worked for Rip Curl and Quicksilver.
And of all those brands, which did you enjoy the most?
Quicksilver.
Okay.
Easy question. Yeah. They took care of, when I was with them, they took care of us. They took care of me. They were, it was fun, and I started to get a glimpse of, like, let me keep working at this. Because I'm seeing, all these people with, dope jobs. Oh, I'm going to get to that, and then the crash and all that.
Yes, yeah, the financial crash of 2008 or 9, wasn't it? Somewhere there? No, a little bit later.
Yeah.
About 2012-ish.
I think with them it might have been, between 2012 going into 13, 14, maybe 15, But I kind of saw it coming. I wasn't feeling it anymore. And I decided to move on.
By then, I'm assuming you had met a lovely lady.
Sure did.
And decided that you're going to progress from being a carefree young man just working in the surf industry, surfing, and you're going to become a family man?
Yeah, that was, it was always on my mind to be, always wanted to have a family. But I think meeting my now wife is, she saved my life, man. She had my back through everything. And
Would you like to just elaborate? What do you mean she saved your life?
Man, I was down and out, bro. I was, I quit my job with Quicksilver, not knowing what the hell I was going to do.
So you didn't have a plan?
I thought I did.
Didn't have an exit plan, strategy?
No, I just said, it's going to work out, right when I met my wife or started dating her. And I'm like, fuck, she stuck with me when I didn't have a job. And, and I was in love with her from the start. And I was like, and she's sticking by me through this, like, we got something here, and it wasn't like I was looking for somebody to live off of, but, her love for me showed, where this world has been so materialistic where, I was like, I can't afford to take you out, but I could cook a good steak if, you want to come over, I'll cook for you. And, so I feel like that was my, part of my love language to her was cooking and, more quality time than buying stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's one way to test the water.
I tested it without even knowing I was testing it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess at the time it wasn't like, okay, if she sticks by me, then she's going to be good for me. It was kind of just like, this is what the situation is.
Yeah.
But I dare say you're an optimistic kind of guy. And even in those difficult times, you were looking at ways at staying optimistic, essentially.
100%, and having, falling in love with her and then having her support, always, you got it, you're going to be fine, we're going to be good. And then, like I said, my parents supporting, 100% supportive no matter what, always helping out, encouraging and everything. And they got me to where I am now. All of them.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Thankful, grateful, very, very grateful.
And so there you were without a job, got a lady, but everything's fine. You're cooking steaks on a Friday night. Um, you're kind of seeing life through rose-tinted glasses. What was your first job through that difficult time?
Oh man, my first job. I think I was merchandising G-Shock watches at Macy's. That was part-time. Doing that, working at oh man, I can't even remember. It feels like a lifetime ago. Um, did that, and then not too long after that, I got a job working for an insurance brokerage as an account manager. And it paid the bills, but it was not. That was not for me. Wearing a tucked-in shirt, had to cover my tattoos and shave. Well, I guess I'm kind of shaved now, but
So they had protocols
yeah,
on how you need to look to be an insurance.
insurance. I was an account manager.
Oh, okay.
Not even meeting with people, bro. I was on the phone, but I still needed. I was too. I forget what they told me I looked like. They told me I looked
Scruffy.
uh, too intimidating. I'm like, with tattoos and a
A
beard.
little bit too street.
I guess. I was like,
Gold chain.
that was the thing for me. I was like, man, I got to cover my tattoos. I got to do this. I was like, I don't want to conform to this stuff, but it paid the bills. And, I had, it's a long time coming where I started making money, decent money, and doing all the good things again.
But on the flip side of the coin, it was soul destroying
It
from a character perspective.
From a character perspective, it did. It was draining. It made me somebody I wasn't. Being cooped up in an office with two guys I had nothing in common with. And
Sitting in a booth.
in a booth, I had
Cubicle.
4 squares around me. I had a good view
Okay.
on one side, but I had to turn my chair to look.
Okay.
But man, staring at a computer and answering phone calls and dealing with numbers, the numbers was fun, but
yeah,
it was
just very impersonal.
The most impersonal thing I've ever done in my life.
It sounds like you've got a wildly bitter taste at the back of your tongue.
Yeah, bro, that was tough, man. But on the flip side, fortunately, that gave me the perspective on what is it you want to do. Where do you, when I left Quick, I wasn't like, I want to do this. This is my passion. This is my goal. But then having the job that I hated going to, that sound of my alarm was the worst sound. And that made me think, where do you see yourself? Who's the person you want to be? What do you want to do? If, we all have to work, what is it that's going to bring me joy and pay the bills?
So this is pre the pandemic.
Way before the pandemic. And, it's ultimately what led me to barbering. I was cutting even while I was with Quicksilver, I was, I had the interest in it and I was cutting some friends here and there. And, I kind of had my own hours. If I got the job done, I could kind of scatter my hours throughout the day. And I was going to a barbershop over in Chinatown. It was just to get my haircut, and I was kind of consistently picking the brain of my barber, and expressed a lot of interest in him. And he gave me as much as I would ask, any input on, any questions. Then fast forward to that insurance job. The office I was in was not too far from that barbershop. So I was like, I could dig out and get my haircut or go hang out, whatever it is. And that's when I was there more and getting my haircut more often. Now I was making some money, so I was like, I get my haircut every 2 weeks now, and still cutting some friends. And, when I was talking to the barber, he had mentioned he had like a class. He was leading a class, and I was like, oh, I've been cutting some friends. Can I come by? And, he invited me over, and that class is what changed everything. I was like, this is it, and having pretty much little to no experience, the haircut I did, and I think it was probably trash at the time, but I thought it was great, and he was so encouraging. It's like, man, you learn, you train a little bit more, you learn this craft. He's like, you got something. He's like, if this is your passion, you could do it. And he, you know, he fueled that because I was searching for what it was, and he fueled that into me, where I was like, you know, coming here and cutting my friend at this, I was like, that was fun. You know, that didn't feel like a job, you know. And my friend looked good. He thought he looked good, and I thought the haircut looked good. And I was like, man, I made him happy, and I didn't make any money, of course, but I was like,
Yeah.
man. But I'm looking at all these other barbers. I'm like, they get to do this all day, and that's when I was like, oh, this is sick.
Mm. Hanging out, having conversations, um, sharing stories. That's kind of what I think of when I think of a barbershop. It's a place where you come together, and in America, traditionally, there's a lot of barbershops, especially inner city barbershops, where it's almost like a little bit of it's a meeting point. It's a club where people come together and they sit and talk about what's going on in their neighborhood or what's happening with their family. And it becomes
100%.
like a brotherhood, actually, and a place to build each other up. And sometimes it's heavy conversations, and sometimes it's just good, lighthearted fun, right?
100%. You know, we hear a lot, always more so positive things, but it is, especially when we got everybody, the shop is full, we're all talking story, and, it's for the most part, it's fun. Everybody's laughing, or it gets into a deep conversation and we start thinking too deep into situations.
Everyone goes quiet.
Yeah, you're like,
Have you got any like funny anecdotes or any stories, like some of the craziest stuff that you've heard come out of someone's mouth?
man, I'd have to say this isn't funny. This is probably one of the craziest things I ever heard. There was a guy that I cut maybe every couple weeks. And we had some things in common. He was quite a bit older than me, and he was coming often, and one day he brought up about the first time he committed murder. And that's something where I'm like, what the heck? What did he just say to me? Like, did I just hear that correctly? And I kind of just went on about the haircut, and I switched this guard out, like I'm not going to even, like, how do you respond to that? Like, and he proceeded to say, he did a lot of bad things in his life and he's moving on, but he still gets the urge. And I'm like, and from after that, I was like, I don't know how to handle this situation. So, do I call the cops or, I'm like, it's a weird, I've never heard somebody say that. So I was just like, like he could have just been saying things to get a reaction, and I just kind of brushed it off. But he's never been back in the shop after that. I don't know. So it very well could have been somebody just talking to talk to hear themselves, or
Yes. One would hope
yeah,
that he's been watching too many detective crime series or something.
yeah. But I mean, other than we get
But
some,
that's pretty wild.
it is. But other than that, man, it's always good fun. People are always joking, laughing, talking story, having fun.
Okay.
Talking about sports, football, whatever it is.
So you've been in this establishment now for how many years?
This will be my 6th year. Yeah, just finished
Okay.
6 years.
So you were here pre-pandemic, and then the
Pre-pandemic.
pandemic hit. No haircuts.
No, nothing, man. We shut the doors, and I think together, all total, almost 3.5 months without working.
And how was that?
Another double-edged sword, man. It was difficult. Lucky I had a little bit of savings, and we did get some assistance from that federal relief or the state relief, whatever that was. It was difficult being financially strapped, but at that point, my kids were at an age where it's very fortunate to spend so much time with them. Looked at it that way. We had enough money to pay rent, feed ourselves, feed the kids, and I got to surf every day.
There we
it
go.
was
The eternal optimist
it
again.
was great, man. Spending every day. My kids were probably 2 and 4 at the time, maybe. Yeah, probably about that. So it was, I think it was a very integral part of their lives, and me being a father, and being with my wife, and she was great. She made us an itinerary for every day. When we're eating lunch, when we're going to the beach, when the kids are doing their schoolwork, You know, she kept us in order. She's a teacher in education, so she kept us running on a schedule.
Brilliant. And then, but I mean, behind the scenes, as was the case for parents throughout the world, it was still a stressful time. But you have to be positive for the kids.
100%, man. You know, you have kids, Steve, right? You
Yeah.
know, like they know when we're up to something. You know, if we're down or if we're excited, you know, they see everything, man. And you know, staying strong. You know, for me, staying strong for my kids and also my wife. You know, because you know, financially strapped. You know, those times we didn't know when we were coming, or I didn't know when I was coming back to work.
Yeah.
We didn't know what this virus was about. We
Yeah.
were like, are we gonna get it and die? You know, but the
Yeah.
kids had no idea what was going on.
Mm.
They just knew there was a virus and they didn't have to go to school.
But you mean again, we chatted about it yesterday. You took some pretty clever measures to try and counteract, right?
Yes, we did.
Okay, tell me about that.
We did a prepaid package. You know, we sorted it out.
Prepaid haircuts.
Prepaid haircut. Sorry, yeah,
Okay.
prepaid
Like a
haircuts.
vending machine, but you put your money in, you don't get your hair cut straight away, right?
No, we did. We made like an Instagram post, and we had it divided. It was like buy 2 haircuts, buy 3, you know, buy 4, get the 5th one half off. I forget how we broke it down,
Yes.
but you know, and it was more of a way to kind of ask our clients and the public, whoever was still working, you know, this is a way that you could help the barbers and you can help keep the barbershop open, you know, so the shop can still pay its rent and we can do all that. And you know, we had a lot of generous clients who contributed, you know. I actually just had a guy yesterday. I think he bought like 12 haircut beard trims, and he hasn't had a haircut in like 2 years. One of my good friends. First time he came in, I'm like, bro, you know, you still have like 8 or 9 cuts going, right? And he's like, I could just pay. And I'm like, you can, or you can use what you know, and I want to do right by them. You know, they helped me and the shop in the time of need. So, you know, like, I don't want you to, you know, not get your value. And, you know, we still, you know, very thankful to all of them.
What about the guy who bought 30?
He I think he's still
So how many?
getting.
Just say it to me. How many did he buy?
I think he bought like 30, man. It was great. He paid my rent that month, man.
Amazing. Amazing. 30 haircuts, prepaid. That's a lot of haircuts. It's almost.
Thank you. You know who you are.
Yeah, it's almost 2-3 years worth of haircuts if you have one a month.
You know, he has a few kids, so he spread it out amongst the kids.
Oh,
as
there
well.
we go.
Yeah,
You can give them to family and friends.
yeah. It was a family and friends deal for him for sure.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, amazing these stories that come out, eh? And just showing how the human spirit and of coming together during tough times.
Very humbling.
Humbling.
Yeah, it's a great time.
What does surfing mean to you? Because it's an unusual space. I say unusual, but I mean it in a good way. We've got photographs of legends, of surfers. We've got an old photograph of the street in the 60s or 70s. We've got surfboards, and I'll flash all this up now. Like, why is there such a strong surf heritage, skateboarding heritage to this shop?
You know, to this shop, Grant G-Dog, he's got credit for all of this. You know, skateboard.
Who is Grant?
Grant is one of the partners here at the shop.
Okay.
He did all of the aesthetic for this place. You know, surfer, skateboarder, you know, and he wanted to mix in, you know, traditional barbershop, traditional Hawaii with a new, you know, slightly modern touch to it. You know. But you know, for surfing, what it does for me, or I could tell you, like, when I saw this shop for the first time, I lived right around the block. My daughter was maybe a year old, and I walked by and I was like, oh, sick, a barbershop. Like, I lived right around, I was like, that would be extremely convenient, you know? And I was like, oh, they got surfboards and a skateboard. I was like, if there hasn't been a shop that I was meant to be in, I don't know what would be. And time went by and I got wind that they were looking for a barber and met up with G and got in here.
Serendipitous.
Very.
Yeah.
Meant
Your
to
love
be.
for surfing, growing up surfing. And I mean, it just feels like I don't know, like a chilled surf memorabilia lounge with some barber's chairs in it.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw this place. Like I said, if there wasn't a shop meant for me to be in, if this wasn't it, I don't know what would be.
Hmm.
And worked out, still here.
Amazing. What does surfing mean to you?
To me, it's kind of me. Other than my family, it's kind of the first priority. Always looking at the wind, the swell forecast, deciding how early am I going to get up tomorrow. But more than that, it's getting older. It's turned into a sort of meditation in a way. I surf a lot of sunrise, and it gives me a time to reflect, a time to be thankful, a time to be grateful. It's having, two small kids and being married and being here, a lot of my time, I try to put into those areas, so when I get to surf, it's time to myself, and I get to be thankful that I'm still breathing and I get to enjoy this, if it's just one wave, two waves, whatever, if I get out in the water, just makes me feel, almost cleansed in a way, where I get to, rejuvenate myself and, reflect on what matters.
Makes you a better person.
I think so. You could probably ask my wife. She'll probably tell you the same thing. She prefers if I surf,
Less cranky, less edgy.
definitely a lot.
Get rid of that.
Just that little bit of exercise and
Yep.
sunshine, I wish everybody knew that. Not even if it's surfing, get a little sunshine on your face and get some little exercise, it'll change your life.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, there's, at a molecular and a scientific level, there are so many electrolyte benefits to just being in the ocean, being energized, oxygenated, so yeah, for us as surfers, it as you so rightly put it, it is literally a life source.
It's I mean, this is the birthplace, right? Hawaii is the birthplace of surfing, and I wonder if I sometimes feel like I could feel that in the water, in the land, getting out of the water, feeling the sand, it's a part of all of us, right?
It's part of your heritage.
Yeah, it is.
Do you have any like surfing royalty heritage in your family?
I mean, my dad, he's a surfing legend in my eyes.
That's cool.
He taught me how to surf. He was my favorite surfing friend. I think surfing, and going back to that, what surfing means to me, it means my relationship with my father. Now that I think about it, it bonded us in a way that I hope I could create a bond with my children. He was my best friend. He was my father, and like I said, he was my favorite surfing buddy. No questions asked. Get the boards. We're going.
Amazing. So
Very lucky.
You surfed together from a young age.
From as long as I can remember. Yeah. From when I could first even be on a boogie board. My mom too. My mom didn't surf, but she liked to sunbathe, and read the newspaper, and she would put me in the water, let me go.
Still there on the beach, supportive, just reading papers.
Yeah.
How was your father at being so far away from Hawaii?
Well, he's back now.
No, I mean, growing up, like in Long Beach, how did you ever feel that he really missed being in Hawaii?
I think he missed the food. I think he missed the local. I know he missed it and the surf, but he's a family man, and I think he would have moved anywhere to be. What's the word for I'm looking for? A contributing father, a present father, worked hard to provide, a providing father. I think he would have been happy anywhere as long as he had, his family with him.
Okay, cool.
But he definitely missed it. He didn't always say it, but you could tell.
Yeah. So what's the future for you, Ben? Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
In 10 years, I definitely still want to be cutting hair, want to be surfing more, that's for sure. And surfing with my children and my wife. That's where, my goal. I would love to be, I'm happy being in my house down the street, living a quarter mile from the ocean, surfing with my children and my wife. That's where I want to be.
Great goals, man.
Yeah.
Great goals. Did you have any life-changing epiphanies? Did you have any like major trauma, any tragedies that affected you that maybe you're not opening up about?
Yeah, you're making me feel very fortunate, man. Like, I mean, I had a little, I guess I had a little incident at Makapu once that opened my eyes.
In where?
At Makapu, body surfing.
Okay.
Waves went from 4 feet to 8 to 10 in a set. First time I ever waved for help from a lifeguard, no help. And I just thought to myself, one more set, like take one more of these on the head. Like, I'm not going to hold my breath anymore. And I could, maybe that's not, I think it was the first time I legitimately prayed to God or whoever it was above that I needed help. And I said, if you give me a lull in this set and let me spare my life, be forever thankful. Came up, sun came out, it was flat. It's wild.
Wow.
Swam in, saw stars, crawled up the beach, lied on the beach for about 30 minutes, went straight to McDonald's, got 2 Big Macs, and bought a 12-pack on the way, 7-Eleven. Thanking for whatever it was that got me out of the water that day.
You thought you were going to die.
I thought, yeah, and I was with a friend. Dave, if you're watching this, he remembers it. I was with a friend, and I like to think the hand plane, body surfing hand planes, he made me a custom made one for my birthday. And that was what helped me find the surface, because it floated and I held on to it and I would feel which way it was going. And that's how I knew what was up. And
That's how far down you were drilled.
I don't even know how deep I was going. It was just.
So you were body surfing.
We were body surfing.
And it just suddenly whipped up.
So we touched the water. He jumped in the water first. And when he went under, he swam under a wave and I saw him. Have you been to Makapu since you've been here?
No.
So we kind of in the middle of the beach. As soon as he touched the water and went under, I saw him get sucked out, maybe like 40, 50 yards.
Wow.
And he was going towards the cliffs on the right-hand side. And as soon as I saw that happening, I turned around, but I just got pulled out with it. I saw him get in trouble and I was like, well, I'm going in. I'm not going to deal with that, but I didn't fight it. I wasn't even with him. I was on my own and just nonstop, like 8-foot Hawaiian, easy. 8 to 10, maybe. I don't even know. It was such a whirlwind, stormy, and it went from a beautiful day to stormy, giant waves or maybe it wasn't as big as I think, but it was powerful, and it was humbling, and it gave me a new respect for what this ocean can do to you.
Wow. How long ago was this? Quite a while ago or recently?
No, not recently. Okay. Years ago.
Okay. Pre-married.
Pre-married.
Okay.
Bachelor life, living on 16th Ave. And we were horsing around saying, "Oh, I'm gonna get a bit better one than you." Ocean put us in our place real quick.
And you've never forgotten that day?
Haven't been back to Makapu ever since.
Really?
Truth. Yeah.
That's wild. Where's Makapu?
Makapu is
up the East Coast.
Just around the east side.
Yeah. Past Sandy.
No, before Sandy's.
Before Sandy's.
When you come around that cliff, yeah.
Okay. Yes.
I could be mistaken. I'm tired.
Okay. Somewhere there.
The lighthouse, right by the lighthouse. Yeah, right before Sandy's.
Okay. Want to say something to the world? Now's your chance.
Kindness is free. Just remember to love everybody. We're all humans. Man, I've been on a trip lately about gratitude. Sometimes I may come off grumpy, but in the end, man, I want everybody to be happy, kind, loving.
Yeah.
That's what's going to make this world go round. That's what's going to make our lives best.
Yeah, I mean, I think the world needs a healthy dose of that. Just a bit of the application of that one golden rule. Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you.
100%, Steve. Yeah.
Essentially, just in South Africa, we've got a saying, don't be a chop.
Don't be a chop.
Yeah, you know, like a pork chop or don't be a chop. Don't be a dick.
I like
Don't be a chop.
I gotta
I've got
remember
that in
one.
my office. Don't be a chop. And just be cool, man. Just good vibes. And like you say, aloha spirit, right?
Yeah,
Aloha spirit.
it goes a long way, you know, and I think, you know, you learn that here, especially surfing. You know, maybe not so much anymore, but you know, back even when I first moved here, it was a tough place, you know, to surf.
What do you enjoy most about the brand and what it stands for?
Man, you know, I love the group of guys and guys and gals who are part of it, you know, and to see the array of different people, you know, that are incorporated with this, you know, the difference is, you know, man, trying to think of the right word for that.
The diversity.
The diversity of who's involved, you know, the change or just the differences that everybody has, but we are all so common or so similar, but yet so different from each other, you know, and to have, you know, just to be included in this, man, you know, I feel fortunate, I feel humble that, you know, I'm able to sit down with you and be a part of this, you know, like I wanted to, you know, at first I was nervous, but no, this is cool, man. It's fun.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the beauty of what Sam, Jun, and these characters who have brought essentially a bunch of, yes, diverse, but we all resonate with a similar ethos, with a similar understanding that like the ocean means life. We've got to look after it. We can enjoy her. We can spend our lives in the ocean. We can bring our kids up. We can bring our families up. We can derive so much joy from the ocean. But you know, what are we doing to make a bit of a difference? You know, being proactive about, you know, with the Take Five project, just picking up 5 pieces of trash. You know, just going that extra step. And I think Vast has very, very beautifully woven that into their narrative of paying a little bit more attention to
Those core values is, you know, seeing what Vast is doing with that, you know, I'm like, you know, that's values that I want to live my life by, you know, what I want to instill in my children, you know, and that's something that we try to do. You know, my kids are picking up rubbish out of the water every day, unbeknownst to them, the Take Five initiative. You know, it's just
yeah,
what they do, and it's beautiful.
yeah. And it's that education and teaching them that, like the younger generation, go to the beach, leave with something.
Yep.
Don't just leave with what you took, leave with something. I mean, we spent a lot of time last year in Southeast Asia, and it's just, man, it's sad to see
Oh,
in
I
like
can't
Bali and
imagine.
that, like
Yeah.
the amount of plastics and that are washing up on the beaches. We were snorkeling in a place, and we were literally swimming through bottles on a reef, beautiful reef.
Just a
It's
bit.
alive,
And where does
beautiful
that? Where is
fish.
that just
But
from?
you actually you're swimming through, bumping into your head like bottles,
Oh my God.
plastic.
You know, that's something I'm noticing. My wife and I would take our kids down to a beach just down the street over here. And the kids love swimming. They love snorkeling. And, you know, we look for shells. And it seems like more often than not, we're finding broken glass, plastic, you know. Found a diaper the other day. It was gross.
Trash,
But,
basically.
you know, and it's difficult because where we go, there is a little river that empties into it, you know, and we're seeing all the pollution that's going on in the mountains. People think, okay, or whoever, whatever it is, right? It all ends up in the ocean, or most of it, a lot of it does, you know, and it's sad, you know.
Yeah, we need to make a difference. We need to get more involved in initiatives that allow us to do beach cleanups. And Ben the Barber, can I call you Ben the Barber?
Yeah, you can. You can call me whatever you like.
Ben the Barber, surfer, father,
Husband.
husband. What else are you? Pretty good cooks pretty good steak, apparently.
That's relative.
Relative. It's been absolutely awesome spending some time with you, Ben.
Pleasure's all mine, Steve. Thank
And
you.
been an absolute treat to get to know you.
Pleasure, Steve.
Is that it?
It's a wrap.
That's a wrap.